Thank you for this opportunity. I'm somebody who has spent major part of my life in the village, in the rural Nagaland. Only 4 years. I came here to Kohima to study, and I went back, and I'm there since then. So that's been a long time. 1995, after my graduation, I went back to my own village, and I've been working there for many years now. When I got the invitation, I asked myself, do I really have time? And I happened to see that it's 4th Saturday. And I also looked at the theme of today's dialogue. And I said to myself, I really like this theme. And this is what I always try to, engage, mobilize, and also want to be part of the conversation, which is in a safe space, which is also a space created to speak the truth, but you still feel safe. So I said to myself, let me say yes. I was just looking at my years back. 27 years ago, when I started to engage, have a connection with a women's organization, a women's agency, Northeast Network, I traveled to Kohima to make phone call. And that takes me 8 hours by bus, 8 hours back by bus, so it's 8 hours and 1 full day gone because we travel by community bus. Today, I can make phone call, I can make video call, sitting in my own home, sitting in my own village. What a change. But the roads that I travel, I started from my home this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. I reached here around 9:30. Those days, today in a small car, those days, it took me, like 4 hours. That's a community bus. So I see that the road distance is still the same. And the travel time after 27 years also, it is still the same. So bad roads are like the new normals, or normals, I'm just thinking like, what do I share? And I thought I will start with this. The roads that I traveled 27 years back is lush, is green, and the road is very narrow, but it is still a very beautiful and, smooth, the average smooth of Nagaland. Okay. Today we have broader roads, but it is still taking me that long to reach our capital, and it's just 81 kilometers, or let's say people say 90 kilometers from Kohima. So that's one example I wanted to share. And the other thing is that, I'm recalling that, I've been a babysitter throughout my high school days, looking after my siblings. And the same way my elders, I don't have elder, siblings. So, I was taken care, and my siblings were taken care of by aunt and, others, relatives. And I could see that today, babysitters are our mobile phones. What a change. You give your mobile phones to babies, and then you are busy with your own work, That is the change that I can see. I also recall packing tiffins to the school. And the kind of tiffin boxes that we carry are just aluminum box and all, but the kind of food that we bring are of different food that is from our farm. Today you visit any school and look at the tiffin boxes of our children, you will see that it is dal, rice, and then aloo fry or rampam. That is the change that I see. So today, when in the 21st century, and now we are at the first quarter of the 21st century, we see so many things, that globalization is happening, that, privatization is there, that, the polarization of culture, political systems, or economic systems is there. And one important thing is the digital hegemony. And that has also created, so many things, so many changes. We still have all these global problems, whether it is food crisis, whether it is health crisis, whether it is, climate crisis. Many things. And we are caught in that. If we look at our own Nagaland, we're also caught in that system. In the past, our lifestyles, our foreparents, when we look back at our history, we see that there is ecological integrity. The indigenous core values, reciprocity, that interdependence, interconnectedness, respect, that was there. The communal life, the social and communal life was strong. That was there. But now what we see, there is a complete alienation of especially the young generation from our roots. There is also, when we look at the past, the self-determination, the governance that our people have, today it is changed. Our governance is changed, There is this whole thing of what we call corruption, nepotism, work culture, unfortunately, is almost, is there, but negligible. So we are in that, situation where we see that, all these changes, we see different when we look at science and technology, the kind of development in the medicinal fields, the kind of, the infrastructure that we see. If we look at those things, we can say, okay, this is development. Or, I don't know what you take it. How do you see development? Development, big roads. Development, big buildings, big hospitals, big dams, big power plants. Somewhere we have to look at that. Because if the young people of today's generation, if including us, if we look at development in a very glossy and superficial way, we today, if we look at our own Naga society, we are in a very challenging, confusing phase of life. Identity crisis. Earlier, our foreparents are, we practice animism. We practice, the worship spirits of the forest, spirits of the land. Today, we are all Christians. The indigenous values, the core principle of the indigenous peoples are same as the core values that Jesus taught us. But we are caught in between that. And it is something that we really have to question ourselves. We really have to look at what is going on around us. The whole thing of, cohesion, communal, as community, that has been lost. There is cultural erosion. At least in the rural areas, there are somehow we are upholding our cultural values and practices and all. In the urbans, unfortunately, it is becoming skin deep. And when I say skin deep, is that it's not just you wear a traditional clothes or waistcoat or mekhala or shawl. That doesn't mean that we are proud of our culture. When many of our young people are losing, even our own mother tongue, the language, very serious thing that we need to, question ourselves. Do we talk about the culture of, the glorious past of our foreparents? And today we lost those values. We need to ask ourselves, the cultural erosion. Nagaland is called the land of festivals. land of festivals, I think the festivals are very much like festival of performance, because there is less connection. All the festivals of our land is connected to farming cycle, agriculture cycle. And here we have a generation of people who are not in touch, who are alienated, So it's something that if we look at all these things, we really need to have a very serious self-introspection. What is culture to us? And when we say culture erosion, what does that mean? Do we uphold the same values that our foreparents used to be together, used to take care of the margins? I can see even like in my own generation, I have seen that when we have something, we gather food, or when we hunt an animal, I know that's not, the one word that I should not be using of hunting animals, because everybody is against that, but those are the realities. We bring home, we gather, and we make sure that even the most marginalized person, a widow, an elderly person, his or her share is given, right? Now it is no more there. Now it is, like you hunt as much as you possible, you gather as much as you possible, and everything is brought to the market. I'm not saying that, we don't have this whole thing of supply chain and, all these relationships should be there. But some of the core meanings, the core principles, the solidarity economy that our foreparents used to practice, it's been part of a living culture for many rural communities till today. But I think, we are forgetting all these important values. And if we are to question ourselves, how do we Nagas, how do we go forward? There are lots of things, and we have to start with ourselves. Introspection. Who am I? What am I? How am I responding to the changing situation of the 21st century? We need to understand that. What kind of food I'm taking? What kind of, knowledge, or, what kind of, activities or my time is being spent? Is it only on the screen? We have to be very careful. I know phone calls. I'm very happy that I traveled 8 hours in 1998 to make one phone call and go back in a bus, in a community bus, which is packed full, and then we have the most lovely, conversation in the community bus. Now everybody goes in their own car. We cannot stop those. But we have to see the mobile phone that came as a blessing. Is it something that is a necessity? Yes. But is it necessary to control our lives? No. It has de-skilled many minds, because we just go to the internet and we just Google and then we just write down, isn't it? So de-skilling, the creativity, the thinking, the logical thinking, the heart to love, to have compassion, all those are somehow, managed by and now with AI coming in. So we really have to consider, how do we want to use the technology, digital technology? How do we want to use it? And how do we want to steer our life? We will definitely need the help of, technology, but where to give, what do I call in English? How to yes, draw the line. Sorry, my vocabulary goes off sometimes. Yeah, so how do we draw a line? How do we make checks and balances? I think these are very, very important, especially young people, because we don't know how to think. Everything we are checking from the internet. We're using AI. And then we will not be in a position even to think creatively, because machine is doing for us. We are using app, and that app is instant, and we are losing the connection. And I think we really have to consider this again. Then the other thing, I know I have very little time, other thing that I wanted to, emphasize is of the Nagas. We always proudly say that our foreparents are hardworking, honest, truthful, courageous. But today, we have lost that line, almost losing, I should say. We are, caught in the system where we are scared to speak the truth. Speaking the truth, speaking honestly, saying what is black and what is white come with a big, cost. I think we are also becoming a land of apology letters, unfortunately. That you say something which is different from the majority, then you are asked to give an explanation. Then you have to come for a public apology. I think we are going in a very, very wrong path, because if we cannot accept the other opinion, that majoritarian is very common in our villages also. Oh, what majority says we have to follow. And if you are saying something different, there is a cost in it. So now this kind of spaces is important. How do we go about it? How do we see that we bring in the values? Because if we want to see the future of Nagas as progressive, then we have to see that the indigenous principles or the universal values of inclusivity, of compassion, of truthful, of integrity, of respect, those things should come, because we are losing our foot. We are on the surface, but we are losing our foot. And I want to recall again, that if we want to progress, we also have to have, coexistence with other species, with, other people. We don't want racial remarks on us. Let us also learn not to give racial remarks on others. Let us also respect. We want respect, but we also have to learn to respect, So some of the things that I feel that, the basic is that we bring these values back into our lives, into our homes, into our families, into our education system. I'm a school teacher and I'm facing problem. I don't teach anymore, but I look after a government school, and I am struggling for many things that we have not done in the right way as educators, and we really need to bring back these values again. And saying all this, just another 2 minutes, okay? We have also many stories of hope, stories of change, positive change. And it is important to know these stories inspire each other, learn and grow. And I have few stories, there are hundreds of it in Nagaland also, but I have this Nuklu poem who does, community conservation, conservation work, who also does, culture and education work in multiple tribes. It's not only one tribe. He's also trying to create peace corridors for animals, which comes from Myanmar side to Nagaland forest. Such an inspiring story, and he's a theologian. And I'm so happy that a theologian is doing other, not in the pulpit, but in the ground, So something that stewardship of God's creation. There is also, women-led initiatives, which is all to do with restoring indigenous food and farming systems, like the seed banks that women in Chizami have started. There are also other communities who have started. There are also millet sisters who are also, working in different areas in Puchuri area, in Shamator area. There are also youth-led initiatives like Akhopira, who runs a community library in Kwegwema. These are the stories of change, and I'm happy. So today, what we need to do is that what is development to us and what values guides our development, that is something that we need to question, because if it is only to make a big building, which will be abundant after some years, and which is all to do with, profit maximization, then somewhere we are going wrong. And we have to start with ourselves, myself and yourself, to explore a pathway to the future by defining our hopes and what is purposeful, progressive Naga society, that everybody of us have to come together, and we have to work together collectively, but first start individually to introspect. And I'm so thankful for this space. I want to read out a poem that I have written. It's not exact, but something, my thoughts that I've written in September. Hope is alive, hope is dream. Hope is courage, hope is action. Hope is resistance, hope is resilience. Hope is coming together, hope is bonding. Dream is hope, courage is hope, action is hope, resistance is hope, resilience is hope, coming together is hope, bonding is hope, hope is alive. Thank you.